Guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, especially if you love college football as much as I do. I want to talk about Oklahoma right now. Oklahoma was 6-7 last year. They were abysmal offensively. A big part of that is their lack of consistent quarterback play that was worth anything. They had a lot of injuries on offense. Offensive line was just, almost Florida State bad. Defensively, they were really good. Defense kept them in a lot of games. They finished 6-7 though. That's not happening this year. They went and got John Mateer from Washington State. He's the starting quarterback from Washington State, the same school that Cam Ward went to before transferring to Miami. I think Oklahoma's in store for a special season. I really do with John Mateer. Mateer's really good. He can throw. He can run. He's very accurate with the ball in his hands. He's athletic. He's a nightmare for anybody. And because Oklahoma has a good defense from last year that's coming back for the most part, I don't expect anything different from Oklahoma's defense, but I expect a big production increase on that offense, resulting in more games being won by Oklahoma. They start their season off against Illinois State at home. That's a big win, no problem. Michigan, if you've already seen me talk about the Michigan game, you already know where I'm headed with this. I think they beat Michigan at home. John Mateer is a nightmare for any defense. Here's the problem. Michigan and Oklahoma, I expect them to both have really, really good defenses. Two advantages that work in Oklahoma's favor and two disadvantages that work against Michigan. Let's start with Michigan. Disadvantage. This is a road game at Oklahoma. At disadvantage number 2. The problem is they're both great quarterbacks. The problem is, though, Bryce Underwood's a freshman. He has no big game experience, let alone any game experience in college football. John Mateer has been in a bunch of college football games at Washington State. He was very successful over there. So, with that being said, I think Michigan is in for a long night. And Oklahoma knocks off Michigan, and it might even get ugly. At Temple, that's no problem there. Auburn, they won at Auburn last year without much quarterback play whatsoever. It just turns out one quarterback situation happened to be a little bit worse than the other. So that's why Oklahoma won with a pick six to seal that game over there. And if they won over there, they should win at home no problem against Auburn with great defensive play and John Mateer. Then they play Kent State after a bye week, and then they should win that game, no problem. Then there's Red River. They lost this game last year. If you look at the 2 of the last 3 games, Texas has dominated Oklahoma. That's true. But Oklahoma has also not had much quarterback play in either of those losses. Look at the game 2 years ago that Oklahoma did win. They had Dylan Gabriel, an outstanding quarterback who's with the Browns now. And they managed to beat a top 3 Texas team who eventually made the playoffs. They beat that team. Oklahoma has good quarterback play. I expect them to have good quarterback play, and I expect them to beat Texas in a very tough game, a close game. It's always close. It's always competitive, especially if both teams are really good. It's very competitive. And then they come back home to take on South Carolina after an emotional win. I think they catch another loss to South Carolina. South Carolina, if you look at that game with Oklahoma, that game was a lot closer to what that score said. I think it was 35-9, whatever it was. South Carolina got off to a hot start. 2 defensive touchdowns, and Lenore Zellers also scored in that first quarter, putting them up 21-0 at one point. Oklahoma did a lot of stupid stuff last year. They remind me of Auburn last year. They just happen to be a little bit less bad than Auburn offensively. That's why they made a bowl game. But Oklahoma got out physical. They didn't even get out physical in that game. They just did dumb stuff in that game at home. I mean, at South Carolina. Was it at South Carolina? I can't remember. But it was pretty embarrassing how that game went. But it was a lot of stupidity, not because one team was tougher or more physical than the other. Not that we know anything about that. But that's beside the point. I think Lenore Zellers is going to be a legit good quarterback this year. And because of that, the way he plays, I think Oklahoma's able to keep him from running all over them. But here's the thing. Even if you have a great defense, if you're facing a great quarterback like Lenore Zellers, you can't stop him from making plays that are clutch and that win the game for him. So, unfortunately, for Oklahoma, I have South Carolina upsetting this team. Then they play Ole Miss at home. I'm not expecting much out of Ole Miss this year. It's not that I don't think Lane Kiffin's a good coach. I think he's a phenomenal coach. He's good at getting good players, but he lost a lot last year, and even then, last year was kind of a down year despite winning 10 games. They lost to Florida, Kentucky, teams that they shouldn't be losing to, and LSU. So I have Oklahoma getting some payback from last year and beating this team at home. Then they go on the road to Tennessee and Alabama in back-to-back games. For me, it came down – let me skip these two. Missouri and LSU are their last two games. They should beat those teams, no problem. LSU has been a big disappointment to me with Brian Kelly. I know Brian Kelly's won 9-10 games every year since he's been there, but he's getting paid to win a national championship. He hasn't done it yet. He literally had the Heisman Trophy quarterback 2 years ago and couldn't win more than 10 games. Why? No defense whatsoever. He had another good team the year before that. 10 games. No playoffs. Last year, 9-4. Losing to Florida, South Carolina, Texas A&M, and USC. Did they lose to A&M? No, they beat South Carolina. Should have lost that game. Lost to a 7-6 USC team. And continues to blame his players. That's not the sign of a good program. I think LSU is going to lose to Oklahoma. This time it will be about like it was last year. A very close game, competitive first half. One team, the better team pulls away. This time it's Oklahoma. So let me talk about these Alabama and Tennessee matchups. They're both on the road this year. Alabama and Tennessee, I had a hard time picking these games because last year Tennessee beat them, and they physically they were evenly matched. One team just had less quarterback play than the other. Now I remember Nico had problems in this game, but he didn't quite throw the game away like the other QBs did. Other QB, I can't say both. Dawkins, whatever his name is, came in at some point. They started scoring a few touchdowns late, and the offense clearly looked better with him. But, yeah. Ooh, this is tough. Because, again, I'm not expecting much out of Alabama this year. I don't think they're going to be great like some people say they are. Yeah, whatever. For me, it came down to one thing. The fact that these are both road games and they're back-to-back games. And when it came down to it, I think they're more likely to lose to Tennessee on the road than they are Alabama. Last year when they beat Bama, they were the more physical team. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They ate up a lot of clock, and they didn't have to have much offense to beat Alabama. So, to me, I think they beat Alabama again, but I don't think they beat Tennessee. Did I just say I was going to pick Tennessee? I think they beat Tennessee. No, I think they beat Tennessee, but they lose to Bama. I have a messed up way of making these games. To me, they're both on the road, back-to-back games. It's very hard to do that anywhere, especially in the SEC. So, to me, it came down to, let's do that right now. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by his toe. Roll Tide or GBO, let's go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. They lose at Alabama. There you go. Random pick there. So that puts Oklahoma at 10-2. And again, it's hard because those are back-to-back games. I think they're good enough to win one of those, but I think they'll lose one of those too. And then South Carolina, the way they lost to them last year, I know it's a home game, but I think that they'll beat. You know what? No, scratch that. They're going 11-1. I have them beating South Carolina. That puts Oklahoma at 11-1. Probably face Texas in a rematch in the SEC championship or somebody else in the SEC title game. I think Oklahoma does a lot this year. I think they win a lot of games. This will be Brent Venables' best year ever at Oklahoma's best year yet. They go 11-1 with a loss at Alabama or Tennessee. I'm going to say it's Alabama just because. But I think they get payback with South Carolina. That defense is really good. I don't know what I was saying earlier. But give me Oklahoma with 11-1.